What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Kevin Moore Show. Now my guest today is Les Valez. Now Les is a graduate of the University of Vermont. He served as an officer in the US Army and is now a co-founder and vice president of Opus, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support. Les, welcome to the show. So we're just going to get straight into the interview here, Les, and just tell the audience to begin with something interesting about the work that you're doing now.
Well, I think the interesting thing for me is to be able to, put our story out there about Opus and what we do and how we help people. For me, that is important. But then you need the backstory of how I got there and becoming an investigator and all of that. And for me, it's very gratifying to be able to literally work with these people and put them into our online support group, which we have almost 300 people from around the world. People are having these experiences. Abduction, some people call them abductions, depending upon if it's positive or negative. Some people call them experiencers, dealing with non-human intelligences. And so where do people go with that? A lot of times these things happen and they think they're going crazy. And so they go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and they find out they're not crazy. So then what? Most times they can't turn to family members or clergy or anybody to tell them, about what's going on with them. They'll think they're crazy. And so we, based on our working with these people, we came to, basically start a support group of a one-on-one type of a deal in San Jose, California. And then that morphed into an online group that was facilitated by the coming together of a number of people and deciding to start a nonprofit organization, Opus, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support. So the basic, simple part of the mission is to help people having paranormal experiences. And that does include, contact with non-human intelligences, aliens, if you will, or could be any other thing. It could be poltergeist activity. But as it turns out, we have, for some reason, have really been involved with the abduction type of a scenario, more so than anything, as far as the other types of paranormal phenomena.
what is it then? If I said to you then, Les, what is it that makes you different to any other organization out there? What would you say?
The difference that Opus brings to the party, if you will, is the ability for people that are having contact with non-human intelligences to have a safe, neutral place to tell their story, to communicate with other people having similar experiences in their lives. And this is very important in order for those people to understand that they're not alone in this phenomena, and that there are people that are having these similar experiences, and how some of them are dealing with it. And so they're getting feedback not only from people in our organization, but also from people that are having these experiences. Supposedly, I had an experience, but I have no conscious recollection of it. And I was told that a couple of times in the local support group that we had in San Jose for a while. And one person said, "I've seen you before." And I said, "Where? At a UFO conference?" And he said, "No, I saw you on board the craft." And I said, "Oh, that's interesting." And I kind of blew it off. And it was probably a year and a half later that someone else, totally different person, said, "I've seen you before." And I said, "Where? UFO conference?" "No, I saw you on board a craft. You were sitting on this bench. You were naked and you were freaking out. And they wanted me to go over to you and calm you down." So I right away, after that experience, I went and had 3 regressions, and I found multiple past lives, but nothing to do with contact with non-human intelligences. So that was interesting. But the bottom line is that no other organization out there is actually working with the abductees like we do, or have been doing since 1994, when we became a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, recognized by the IRS, which I think is kind of interesting that the IRS recognizes us and what we're doing. So it's the type of thing where, where do people turn when they're having experiences like this? There just really isn't another organization that's doing it in the way we're doing it. And we have a website that people can go to, opusnetwork.org. And on there's a support button, but we also have recommended reading. We also have our documents. There's a lot of good documents in there talking about these types of experiences. And we also have the full report on the omega-3 study that we did in conjunction with MUFON. That actually funded the study. Goes back to 2007, where we took 71 people that claimed they were abducted, and 51 people that were a control group. And we found out some interesting things. And I can read the conclusions to you if you'd like at this point.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Just pause that there just a second, because okay, so this the Opus group. This is an online group, and you've obviously got some a Facebook group, I'm guessing. And
yes.
How many members are in this group so far that have come for help and stayed?
Well, yeah, like I said, on the online support group, we have almost 300 people that are involved with it. As far as we have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. There's almost 2,000, I think, in the group, and then I think there's about 1,000 or so in the page.
And that's worldwide, yeah?
Yes. All of this is worldwide. Like I said before, the support group has people from Australia, South America, South Africa, Turkey, the UK, Ireland. So it's quite diverse. This phenomena is global. This is not just the United States.
What is it these people that come to you, Opus, are experiencing? What's the sort of common thing that they experience?
Probably the most common thing is that they're having visitations. Okay, probably usually during the night, and they're seeing these entities. Uh, Predominantly these grays. They have short grays and they have tall grays that are characterized. We also have at the same time these shadow people. We have praying mantis types. We have reptilian types, and then we have the Nordic types. And so that gives you an idea of the creatures that, or these entities that they're dealing with. And sometimes there's orbs. Probably the number one thing is grays, followed quickly by orbs, and then poltergeist activity that people are experiencing. And then they're usually taken. Usually there's a light, some type of a yellowish or bluish light that's involved with this. They're taken through a wall or through the ceiling, and then they're brought on board a craft. Once they're on board the craft, they're usually examined. They're put on a table, and various instruments are utilized to probe each person. If it's a male, a lot of times they take sperm samples. If it's a female, they'll take eggs. And so, excuse me, this is something that seems to be a real common denominator. Excuse me. And so they come away with marks on their body. They have triangular type marks. They'll have dot patterns that are in a triangle. They'll have scoop marks on their body. They'll have implants. Dr. Roger Lear, many years ago, he's since passed away, looked at 17 different people that supposedly had implants, and they removed these implants. And then some of the things that they found are quite amazing with the implants. And I have some information on that at some point, if you'd like to hear that, describing the implants. So, and these types of things go on all the time with these people. And if you've had one abduction, you'll probably have had more that you probably consciously don't recollect. And a lot of these experiences are consciously remembered, but maybe perhaps the subsequent ones are not fully remembered. And so hypnosis, and that's one of the other things that Opus does for people, is we have resources to give these people hypnotherapists that are familiar with the topic and have licenses and have insurance and all that kind of thing. And so we can recommend that they go to these people to get regressed and find out if they have had more experiences or what is going on.
Are the majority of the people coming to see you, are they just interested in the subject, and there's only the sort of the fringe amount of people that have had experiences, or they've all had experiences and that's why they're coming to you? And what sort of state are they in with their home lives as well? Are their home lives wrecked? Are they going down a bad, sort of dark path with their home lives? How is it really affecting the bottom line with these people?
Yeah, you have a broad spectrum of people that come to us. Most of them are coming to us, number one, because they're looking for help, and so they've had issues, and whether it's being able to talk to family members, a man can't talk to his spouse because he's afraid that she's going to leave him or something. So you have a lot of that going on. Most of the people that are having positive experiences, most of them don't really need us. So we're probably dealing with maybe the 20 to 25% of the people that are having experiences that are negative for one reason or another, whether it's not being alone and not being able to talk to people, or they've had issues with even talking to clergy members or something, because they're afraid that they're going to be called crazy. And again, a lot of these people have already gone to a psychologist or a psychiatrist to find out if they are crazy. And when they find out that they're not, then it's like, okay, now where do I turn? Who can I talk to about this subject? So Yeah, we have people that have had terrible family lives, or not even be able to work, been totally, in a bad place. And then you have people that have managed to uh, overcome the situation. And it's a time frame. The beginning stages are stressful, and there's a lot of fear involved with it. But after a while, they start to go and feel a lot better about the situation until when they stop, it's almost like the Stockholm syndrome, where they wonder why has it stopped? They're not coming for me anymore. Um, so, as I say, the majority of people are looking for help in some way, shape, or form, whether it's just to be able to talk to other people that have had these types of experiences, or looking for a hypnotherapist, or in some cases, yes, looking for a psychiatrist or a psychologist.
This sort of phenomena is not for everyone, obviously. I mean, no, I mean, there's only a small portion that are having these experiences, or well, maybe you feel there's a larger portion than small that's having them. They just don't know about it. What's it all mean? Do you think? I mean, after all these years of studying the phenomena and having your own experience, why is this not happening to everyone out there? And what is the bigger picture of all this? Because the world still goes on beyond all this.
Yes. Well, in actuality, in 1992, the Roper organization uh, did a poll, and they found out at that time they figured there might be 6 million people in the United States that have had experiences like this. And now a lot of time has passed, and you just have to, extrapolate the fact that there's probably a lot more people than that now. And then it's also a worldwide phenomenon. So it's not just a small number of people that are having these experiences. And then what's behind it? Why are quote unquote they the unknown other you know doing this? There's multiple guesses because nobody has a definitive answer about this. John Mack definitely felt that these people are having an experience, and he wrote a book called Abduction. And he was a psychiatrist at Harvard University. Um, but the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of people out there, and something is going on. And one of the theories is that these entities are doing this in order to preserve their own civilization in some way, shape, or form. And then there's other theories about the fact that this is a process, the hybridization process that's actually taking place. And that's why they're taking our DNA and things of that nature to produce these hybrids that, who knows, may eventually take over the world. It's the type of thing where people are saying that they've already perfected, in some cases, the hybrids to the point where you can't tell them from you and I. Of course, you do look a little strange there, Kevin. I don't know if you're a hybrid or not, but anyway, so that's one of the really interesting. Matter of fact, David Jacobs has coined them as hybrids. That they look so much like you and I that you can't tell them apart. And the one thing that happens with this phenomena, which in a way is a positive thing, is that people's worldview changes after this. And they come away with the feeling that, hey, I have to be better to my fellow man. I have to be a better steward of the planet, not pollute things, and be more concerned with those kind of things. And there's a whole list of those types of things that are really positive. That if we're all the more and more people that get abducted come away with that kind of feeling, maybe we will finally correct this global warming or Earth changes that are going on at the present time.
Yeah, well, is this a physical experience, or is something, in the mind, or in a sort of astral sense?
Right. Well, what we found is that there is not a psychopathology involved with these people. So but is there some type of an effect that's going on that maybe we haven't figured out that it could be a psychopathology? That's a possibility. But it seems like all the psychiatrists that have looked at this phenomena basically have come away with the fact that these people do not have a psychopathology. So then what? Is it out of body experiences, which are common? People talk about, astral travel, lucid dreaming. That's also talked about. Is it false memory of some sort, which we don't believe it is, or fantasy proneness, which again in the study that we did, the omega-3, we found no fantasy proneness. So again, we don't have any definitive answer on this. All we can do is point to the fact that these people are coming away with marks on their body, or implants, that there's no entry, mark, no possible way. And then these things act in crazy ways. They move away from the scalpel, and they transmit. Or is this our military doing something? That's a possibility. I always say, is it extraterrestrial? Is it interdimensional? Is it time travelers? Or is it the military? Or is it all of the above, which I think it is? I think it's totally all the above.
What about some people who say that all this subject is a distraction from self-growth, in a sense, self-improvement, becoming your best version?
Well, I think it's just the opposite of that. I mean, as I said, these people are come away with a worldview that's very positive and, meaningful, especially nowadays, to be nicer to one another, and then, be a better steward of the planet, the earth, stop polluting, do things in a way that preserves nature and not destroy it. So it is a two-edged sword. In one sense, these abductions are scary as hell, and people are, traumatized. They come away with PTSD, among other things. And but then when they come out the other end of this process, and it's a spiritual process, by the way. That's what I firmly believe, that it's a spiritual, not a religious thing. It's a spiritual thing. And so, it's.
But why has it got to be so private? Why has it got to be so private, do you think? Why can it not be, here we are, or here's this reality, or, whatever, why has it got to be so cloak and dagger?
Well, it isn't for the people that are having the experiences, and the groups that are out there, like MUFON, for instance, just recently, within the last year or two, came out with the ERT. That's the Experiencer Resource Team, which I'm also a member of. I'm a research consultant for them. And so there, matter of fact, it all started with me back in 2007 when I went to the international director, James Carrion at the time, and said, "Hey, you guys are missing a boat on working with abductees. You've been a nuts and bolts type organization for years and years, and you need to really pay attention to these abductees." So all of a sudden, I started to get all these phone calls that were forwarded by MUFON to me, of these experiencers telling their story and looking for help. And so the organization I started as a director for MUFON was the AERC, the Abduction Experiencer Resource Team, and or Research Team, and that basically morphed now into the MUFON ERT, and so they're doing their own thing now with reaching out to abductees.
What if those that whatever nature of reality this is that's interacting with these people, and has done for many, 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 many centuries probably, but especially now it's more prominent for the past decades, right? What if they didn't care about the so-called spiritual benefits of what they're doing, and that was just people's way of coping with what they'd gone through? That for them, they see it that way now, and they've become better for it. But it wasn't the intention of what the reason what they had it for in the first place.
Hmm. Yeah, that's certainly a possibility. And they talk about can you believe these entities, or are they telling the truth, or are they lying to us? Those are all distinct
Well, they've told us nothing.
possibilities.
What have they told us? What have they told us?
Very little, in actuality. Although you do have people that have come away supposedly with information on how to build certain things. 0 point energy type systems.
Where is it? Where is it?
Yeah, exactly. Where is it? Where is it? And I think that's where it gets interesting when you probably have the military involved. They seek out people that come away with things like that, and somehow they're able to track them and trying to get that information out. Melinda Leslie, who's been involved with the military abductions for a long part of her life, also has talked about the fact that they totally interrogate people, as far as what they know. And well, I think the government, like any government, wants to stay in power, and if they can uh, get the information that they need to perhaps build a better mousetrap, then we'll be ahead of the game and be ahead of the Russians or the Chinese.
Well, what if it wasn't even? What if it wasn't even that? What if they were concerned that actually, as a last line of defense for mankind or for their country or whatever, that at least they had some knowledge on what they were dealing with, but this is not something that wants to interact with us because it actually doesn't have our best interest as what we think it does. I'm not saying it's all negative, and maybe it's just that whatever this is coming from a space that's devoid of what we think is the right and wrong.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head as far as right or wrong. I think we're dealing with groups that, like here on our planet, here we have good people and we have bad people. Simple as that. And I think we have the same thing going on out there. We have good aliens and we got bad aliens. And if you're not lucky to be involved with a good alien, then these are the people that are coming away with very negative experiences. Dramatically.
Yeah, but come back to that sense of like, why has nothing en masse ever come forward? If it was so loving and here for an intention that was, maybe it's loving, but if it was here for an intention that was for the best of all,
yeah.
Whose intention is it best for?
Yeah, who is it? This Israeli general Haim Eshed that came out with his book talking about the aliens and the fact that they don't want to interact with us right now. We're not ready, they say, and we don't understand space. And but the fact that we have some kind of agreement with them, and that there's bases on the moon and there's bases on Mars.
If there is,
yeah,
could be a load of rubbish.
It could be, but it's really interesting to hear that from Israeli general high up in the government there to come out with.
We've never spoken to him. I've not, you've not, and we don't know if he's a kook or if it's just someone that's actually. What if the story's not even true? Who's actually spoken to him to actually say he said those words? I've not, you've not. Third hand.
All right, well, I think, and that's a good point. I had the opportunity to talk to Colonel Corso before he passed away, and he's written the book Day After Roswell. Anyway, I actually ran into him at the 50th anniversary of Roswell, and he's seen the bodies, he's seen the craft, and I asked him, I said, why a person like yourself who has, these wonderful credentials, you were in the Eisenhower administration and all of that, why would you come out with this? People are going to, think you're a kook or something. He says, no, we have to do this for the next generation, our grandchildren. We have to tell them the truth. And when you hear things like that, that really makes a difference in your way of thinking. And so I don't, we're not alone, folks. We are not alone.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there that, we're not alone. And do you think it's important, to talk about this stuff, to not, let the music die within you in a sense, if you've had, this type of experience?
I think it's important that you have people that you can talk to, like for instance, me talking to you, Kevin. You're asking good questions, and that resonates, and you say, okay, well, all the information that I've garnered, all for my lifetime, leads me to believe, based on the facts that I've been able to uncover, that yes, we're not alone. This universe is vast. Our physics, does not maybe cover the way these entities can travel. They've figured it out how to do it, and so the possibilities are there that we're dealing with something that is interacting with us, and we're not at the top of the food chain. It's like there's a whole nother reality that's going on, and I think we have to be open to that, but not obsessed with it, and not cause your life to go in the can because you can't operate anymore thinking about these things. And there's a lot of good people out there that are trying to understand the phenomena. You mentioned consciousness before. This is a big buzzword nowadays, and they still haven't figured out what it is, and people are trying. They may not, because we're in it, and it's like, how do you understand it if you're in it?
No, you can't do. And I think it would, if that is the case that we are in it, then that's the end of the Matrix, then, isn't it? If to understand it, and maybe we didn't want to end the game. We came here to play the game, and maybe full realization is not actually part of the win, but the maybe manipulation of it is. To understand that you can manipulate it to do the things that you want to do. Maybe if it's in alignment with. I don't know. What am I saying? I don't know. I was going to say if it was in alignment with something good, but then I don't know. Is that the way it works? Who knows? What do I know from doing all these interviews? Not a lot. Not a lot. That, but there is something more. But we're here. We're here.
Kevin, have you had an experience yourself?
Oh, many. Yeah, absolutely. But did it stop me? Doing the normal things in life that I need to do? No. How helpful?
Right.
What benefit was it for those experiences? That's my answer. See that? There it is. Shrug of the shoulders. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it has benefited you in the way you look at life. Things that are hard to put describe.
I think it makes me almost at this stage of my life just want to go more into present moment and just more to be here and not worry about all this stuff. Just
right.
have a life.
Right, and that's important. That's very important. My experience when I was 11 years old, I saw this craft and it scared the hell out of me. Ran in a house, tried to get my father to come out. By the time he came out, it was gone. And I got into this whole UFO thing. I picked up books by George Adamski and started reading all his stuff. And then I became more of an adolescent, and girls became a little bit more important in my life. Then I went off to college at University of Vermont, and was in the ROTC. And when I graduated from the school, I went in the service. I got married. I had 2 children. I mean, I totally forgot about the whole UFO thing. It was just so focused on a job. I need a job, and that's what I did. I got a job, and then in '85 moved out to California, picked up at the San Jose Mercury News. And Stanton Friedman was going to talk at San Jose City College about UFOs and the government cover-up. And so it was like somebody threw a switch. It was like, okay, I got to go see this guy. And that's what I did. And I expected to see a handful of people there, but the auditorium was full. I came out of there. MUFON had a table there. I got their monthly journal, and that wasn't enough. I became a field investigator, and all the cases that I got involved with, not only sightings but abductions. And so people asked me, did I know of other people having these experiences? And I said, yes, I do. So I started to facilitate a support group. and it's been ongoing ever since. One of the experiences that happened after that was I was written up in the Monterey Coast Weekly paper, and this woman that was also written up in it by the name of Carol Austin called me afterwards and said, I'd like to see if you could help me understand what's going on with my brain waves when I'm in contact with these off-earthly entities. And so I said, okay. I said, okay, but I wasn't that interested, to be perfectly honest. But then she said she was working with an emergency room doctor down in Carmel. And so I said, okay, I've got a friend, a doctor friend, Dr. Eugene Lipson, who actually he and I co-founded Opus. And I called him up and I said, hey, there's a doctor down there. And Gene was really interested in working, getting to know other doctors that were interested in the phenomena. And so we went down there, and as we walked into this Carol's house, there was a picture on the wall, and it was her standing on the back of this boat, a rather large boat. And I said, what's this all about? She says, I was down in the Caribbean. I said, what were you doing down there? And she says, well, I was helping these treasure hunters find treasure. I said, well, how were you doing that? And she said, well, I was in communication with the captain of the galleon that had gone down. And so that was the beginning of an unbelievable afternoon. She started telling us stuff about herself. And then we found out that she had a near-death experience years ago. And after that, she became very psychic. And these are some of the things that also happen after people are abducted. Some of them become healers. They have the ability to heal people. And I've actually worked with a person in Vancouver, a friend of mine, that became a healer afterwards. And I've had some back issues, and I worked with him from distance. He's in Vancouver, and I'm in Texas. And I'm totally better. So you have people that become psychic after these experiences. And you have people that have these experiences and are healed. I was flying back from a MUFON symposium, this is years ago, and I was on a plane. I was sitting on a plane coming back, and I was sitting next to a woman who was the head of the St. Jude Hospital at the time. And before that, she was working at another hospital, and she said that she told me the story of this woman that was going in for cancer surgery, and the doctors came in that morning to take her in, and she stopped them. She says, "No, I'm okay. I don't need it. I don't need surgery anymore." And they said, "What do you mean?" Well, anyway, they didn't believe her, so they took her in. They did some more X-rays before they cut her open, and they couldn't find anything. They said, "What the heck happened?" She says, "Well, they came last night and they cured me." So, there's so many stories like that out there. And there's another doctor that was kayaking down in South America, went over a falls, got trapped under the falls for 30 minutes, saw these loving entities. She said she wanted to go with them. And they said, no, you have work to do. You have to go back. And then they also told her the fact that her son, who was a youngster at the time, when he turned 18, would die. And so she lived with that till he became 18. And shortly after that, he got killed in a car accident. So psychic ability, I mean, what is that? That's the kind of stuff that blows your mind, these types of phenomena are happening, and we don't understand them. And all we can do is put this stuff together and try to put it out in a way. I wrote this book called The Unknown Other and the Existential Proposition of Alien Contact, which you can get on Amazon, or you can go to our website, opusnetwork.org. And we talk about all these kind of things, and we have many stories by experiencers telling their stories in the book. Um,
Yeah, so it's kind of like, you're trying to integrate, I guess, some of the more positive aspects of this into people's lives that have had it, for them to be a part of society, I guess. But it must be difficult to be a part of society after some of those experiences like that, without, with society being so closed off to you. I mean, it takes a group like this to be formed, to have that, to have that closeness with people that they can share such a thing. I mean, what's that say about the bigger picture of where humanity is? Are we closed off to the idea that there's more? Well, most of us are, aren't we? We're closed off to the idea that there's more than our body. I guess because it can't be proved to a lot of people.
Most people get up in the morning, have breakfast, go to work, come home at night, have dinner, watch a little TV, go to bed. Next day, do the same thing again and again and again and again. And and we're lucky, I guess, that you and I have had the ability to really think about these types of things, and uh, throw it around in our heads and try to figure out exactly what this means, and what can we do with it. My wife, for instance, is she believes that we're probably not alone in the universe, but she could care less about what I do and all of this kind of thing. And she's a great grounding tool for me, I guess, to keep me on the straight and narrow and keep me in focus on this reality. She's a good thing to bounce off of her, what I'm thinking. And although we didn't even talk about it that much, really. She knows what I do. She knows I'm in my office right now talking to you and talking about these types of things.
What does that say, though, about, where we're at with it? I mean, yeah, I see what you're doing. You're helping people. You provide a place where people can go to get this support, and I think I get that. That's great what you're doing. Just an I don't know. For me, I'm as I get a bit older and a bit more been doing these subjects for a bit longer. I'm like, what the hell am I putting out to an audience? What am I promoting? What is this? Is it what if I'm just deluded that none of this is like
you're a service provider, is what you are.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but the thoughts of like, well, what if I'm putting stuff out that's just not true? When I die, it's not what I thought it was. Actually, it's nothing. It's just nothing. Now, I think some of the things I think to myself in that case are, well, did you there? If it's nothing and none of this is true, did you help people become a better version of themselves that without promoting some of this stuff, they wouldn't have got there, even though none of it's true? Well, that could be just some psychobabble way out of my delusion, right? Or out of my thinking. That's not so great. But then I guess there's always that part of me that's just said, fuck the world. I'd rather look into something that was different to what other people are doing, and because is there something in that differentness that's more powerful than the way that we're doing it, and I have done it for so long. And it's all very confusing, isn't it? You've been on the same journey.
Well, I think this part of this phenomena is probably the next stage that will be looked at in a more serious way by the government. Although they're probably already looking at it. Matter of fact, I'm 99.9% sure that they're already looking at it, but they haven't put it out to the general public because they don't want to scare people. There's a report saying that maybe 70% of the people in the world would be okay with it, but then there's 30% that would go batshit, and they wouldn't be able to handle it. So I think it's important that this UAP report that came out by the government recently, they're now looking at this phenomena, these tic tacs, if you will, that they call them. And so they're doing things that, if there was a human in there, they'd turn to liquid, doing all these maneuvers and the speeds that they're going at. So that's something you can really get your teeth into and say, okay, so who the hell is driving these things or manipulating these things? So that's the next question. And then who better to ask than the people that are having these experiences that are communicating supposedly with them. And I was at the recent MUFON symposium in Las Vegas in August, and Nick Pope was talking, and he said about the report, he says, I'd almost prefer it to be either the Russians or the Chinese flying these things because we could at least talk to them. And I came up to him afterwards and I said, well, I think you're missing a boat. If you want to talk to these entities, whoever they may be, talk to these people that have been abducted. They're telepathically communicating.
Okay, well, I know you've got that report there. Maybe we can end it on just the report that you've got as well, if you want to talk about that report.
Yeah, this is the omega-3 study, the conclusion that we came up with. In general, abductees' experiences profile differently than do their comparison counterparts on a number of general psychological and specific neurological variables. Yet there are remarkable similarities between the experiential group and the comparison group. It should be noted that in no case did experiencers or comparison group participants show any signs of mental illness or personality disorder. Fantasy proneness does not appear to play a differentiating role between the experiential and the control groups. However, sensitivity to alternative realities and early and recurrent paranormal or psi experiences seem to play a role in the abduction experience. Childhood conflict, psychosocial tension, and abuse and trauma more than likely facilitated dissociative coping style in later life. How much a part dissociation plays in the abduction experience remains an open question, but the Ring and Rosing study in 1990, abuse trauma dissociation pathway, remains a viable descriptive, if not explanatory, principle. Both experience with and interest in abduction phenomena have impact on how one's body is perceived to function, how one views the world and one's purpose in it, and how one defines or redefines one's faith, tradition, and beliefs. In essence, both experience with and interest in contact seem to change one's sense of self and one's worldview. Abductees' experiences believe there is a sentient, purposive, alien intelligence at play in their lives and at work in the world. What the intelligence goals are seem to be more beneficent than benevolent, more benign than malignant. This, though, remains an open question and a point of doubt in the minds and hearts of some abductees' experiences and some comparison control participants. It also remains a point of contention among abduction researchers. The brain generally and the temporal lobes and limbic system more particularly play a mediating role in the anomalous experiences such as abduction. This in no way implies that abductions are all or only in the abductees' heads. Rather, it points to the likelihood of a temporal lability as a preset or precursor to extraordinary experiences. While it would be too reductionistic to claim that the brain creates such experiences, it is not far-fetched to think that the brain plays an important part in the who and the what of extraordinary experiences and how they are interpreted. So, a lot of interesting things there, and as you said earlier, will we ever figure it out? Maybe not. But it's a road that we have to take. I think it's incumbent upon us to try, and more of the scientific community is now getting on board to look at these kind of things, and that's very important. Because we need people with those kind of minds to look at it as well. And, the physicists now are more open to, the fact that, well, we don't know everything, and that it's possible to get here from, a 500 million light years away and, in a matter of seconds. Well, it'll be interesting to see how that all turns out.
Your website, one last time, is, Les?
Yeah, it's opusnetwork.org, opusnetwork.org. And you can contact us through there. There's a support button, as I said. And we have other things as far as the recommended reading and the document section that we have that has some very interesting things in it. And we also have interviews. I do interviews myself, and one of the first ones I kicked off with was Linda Moulton Howe, who actually did the foreword of my book, The Unknown Other, and you can get that on our website as well. There's a picture of the book on the website, so you just click on it and it takes you right to Amazon, and so. And by the way, also Linda Moulton Howe is one of our advisory board members, along with Melinda Leslie, Yvonne Smith, and Terry Lovelace, who is an experiencer, who wrote a book called, I don't know if I think you might have interviewed him, Incident at Devil's Den. Good book.
Yeah, I know. I've been interviewed Terry, yeah. Okay, well, listen, Les, thank you. And I'm sure the people that you've helped, thank you as well for providing them with a platform where they can, trust and share their stories. And I'm sure that's very healing when they do that as well. So your website's been coming up on the screen throughout this interview. Your book as well that you mentioned, that's been coming up. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. I really appreciate the time that you spent with me today. Thank you.